Okay, so back in the code again. So we've got our main function now, that's nice and clear with Joe and Claire and their scores. We're calling an add bonus function and we're passing it the score and the thresholds. That's going away and looking at the values. If it's necessary to add bonus points, it does that and gives us our score back. And then we're calling the print score function, which is printing the score, and it's able to tell whether they got a bonus or not. So we seem to be pretty much there. Now, it's still not really quite right. This is quite a small program, so it's very easy to see clearly in each function exactly what's going on. This is actually only a few lines of code. However, if this was a bigger program and our functions were a little bit more complicated, we still wouldn't really be happy what was going on in this code for a number of reasons. The first reason is our print score function is printing our score, but it's also printing the bonus information as well. So again, it's still doing slightly more than printing the score. And frustratingly, it doesn't actually know whether a bonus was added or not, and is only able to get that information by examining the score and having to do the math basically to calculate whether a bonus was added or not. We don't have a definitive fact that a bonus was or was not added. So that's kind of a bit untidy really. We're still using the hard-coded numbers, at least they're not down in the bottom functions now. They're a bit higher up, but generally we don't like to hard-code numbers into code, because if anybody ever wants to come and change those, they would have to go right into our code and find them. So we want to remove that as well. And our add bonus function again is doing slightly more than the name implies, because our add bonus function is not only adding the bonus, but it's actually checking whether we should add a bonus or not. So obviously when we called it with Joe's score and his score was 90, it didn't meet the threshold requirements and therefore no bonus was added. But our function was called add bonus, so that implies its job is to add a bonus. So it's not really quite the right name for the function. So let's have a look at how we can improve it. So first thing to do is let's talk about these hard-coded values. 90, sorry, not 90, the 100 and the 10, our thresholds. Now, for our particular program, we would assume that these are set. They're going to be set when the game is released as the values. But as we're developing it, or as somebody comes along to change it in the future, they might want to move these and have different values. So we don't want to put numbers in. We really want to create a variable for them, a variable that can be changed at a later stage. But it's not really a variable, because as our program is running, we don't want them to change. We just want some way to set them in our program. Now, other programming languages have constructs called constants. These are values which we can put a label on that we can never change in the program. Python doesn't have that, but what we do in Python is we create a pseudo kind of constant by convention. And the convention is we use capital letters to name a variable that we don't want our program to change. The programmer might come in and put a different value on there, but the program itself shouldn't change these values. So what we do is we put them at the top. So we've got our bonus threshold being 100 and our bonus points being 10. Now, the capital letters are just convention. Okay, Python won't actually care if you want to go and change these in your code now. Python will let you, but convention says we don't. We know that these now are values that only the programmer would change if for some reason he wanted his program to run differently. The other crucial thing about these particular variables that we've created, which we've now agreed are constants, is they're not inside any function. They're outside of our main function, which makes them what we call global variables, which means all functions will have access to these. So we don't have to pass these values around in and out of functions, which makes our life an awful lot easier. So I can now take my bonus threshold and I can didn't work. It's done something wrong. There we go. I can now put that into where I've got my hundreds, and I can take my bonus points and I can put that into my 2 calls there. So that's the first thing we want to do in our values. I know we've got them down here, but we're going to have a look at this print score function as well, because we said our print score function does more than print the score. It's doing this bonus information as well. So I really want to separate that out. I really want a separate function, def print bonus. Information. So there's our print bonus information. And when we think about our print bonus information, you know, what we're doing, we needed to tell them whether they got a shortfall and what score they got with the bonus information. So it certainly needs to know what the score is. So that kind of would work. But we didn't like this bit here where we were having to go and do the math again. We were having to go back and work out whether a bonus would be added. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's not worry about it at the moment. I'm just going to put a comma there and a load of question marks, because I feel that there's going to be a need for something in a minute. And let's go back now and have a look at our add bonus function. So here it's down the bottom. So we said it's adding a bonus, but it's doing more than that. Not only is it adding a bonus, but it's actually checking whether a bonus should be added. So we could split it out as 2 functions again. That's one possibility, but it's quite small. So what we're going to do is we're going to label it more correctly, because really it is check and possibly add bonus. So we'll call it check and add bonus. That seems to be a reasonable thing to do. We now know it doesn't need these bonus threshold and bonus points because they're global variables. So that's quite good. So we can get rid of those, which means down here where we're looking at the scoring, effectively we can put the hard-coded values in here. So I can say if score is bigger than bonus threshold, score is score plus bonus points. So this now will go and check, so it's a better name, check and add bonus, and it returns us the score at the end with the bonus points added. If it was greater than the threshold, then the bonus gets added. If it was less than the threshold, then the bonus doesn't get added. But out of here we just get the score, and we said later on if we need to know whether the bonus was added or not, you've got to go back and kind of undo the maths of where that score came about. So really, if this function is checking if a bonus was added, well, why don't we get it to return that fact back to our main program as well? So as well as returning the score back here, what we can get it to do is to return whether or not a bonus was actually added as well. So how do we do that? Well, within here we just create a new variable called receive bonus. And that is going to be, in this case, true, because the score was bigger than the bonus threshold. So our receive bonus is true, a bonus was received, and we calculate our score. If it's not the case, else, we leave the score alone, and our receive bonus will obviously be false. So receive bonus is a local variable within our check and add bonus function. I want that to be available outside of my program, so I need to return it outside of my program. Well, I'm already returning score, that's fine. I'll also return another variable. and it's called receive bonus. So our check and add bonus function now is getting pretty clear what it's doing. If the score was bigger than the threshold, it's true that we received a bonus, and we do that with a score. Otherwise, we say receive bonus is false, and we exit. And when we exit with a new score, either with or without the bonus added, and a Boolean value indicating whether a bonus was received or not. So this is our check and add bonus function. So back up here now, when we call it, it's our check and add bonus. Got that right. So it's our check and add bonus function. We don't need all these thresholds now because they're all global variables that we've just down there, so I can get rid of those. I'm just going to pass in score 1. But obviously now when our function returns, our check and add bonus function, looking at the code down here, you can see it's returning 2 items. It's returning a score and a Boolean value saying whether a bonus was received. So in the assignment statement back up here, this function check and add bonus returns 2 variables, so we need to have 2 variables on this side of the assignment statement to receive them. Wow, so that's done quite a lot now. So our check and add bonus function takes the score. With that score, it goes away, calculates whether a bonus needs to be added or not, and if it does, adds it to the score and returns 2 facts: this new score, or the score whether altered or not, and whether a bonus was received. And that is now passed back into our main function saying score 1 and receive bonus. So that's done that one. I need to do the next call down there. So obviously in this case it was score 2. And how's that help me now? Well, when I now come to print the information about what was what happened, if you look at the moment in my print bonus information thing, I'm having to look at the score and see whether it was greater than 100 or not. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to do the calculation, because up here I've got a Boolean variable whether they received a bonus or not. That was the whole point of it. It was telling me up here whether a bonus was received, so I don't need to redo the maths. So down here, when I call the print bonus information function, I can pass in the score and I can pass in whether a bonus was received or not. So now back up in main, I'm calling my print score function, which has got the name and the score. That's doing it, and I now can call the print bonus information. And what did print bonus information? It needed the score again, which in this case was score 1, and receive bonus. Come on between those two. Put a bit of space there just to make it clearer, and I need to do the same again. Okay, so now looking at our code, we go and first of all check, and if necessary add the bonus. We'll give the score to that, and we'll get back the score with or without the bonus added, and we get a Boolean value whether the bonus was received. We then go and print the score, and all that does is print the score, and obviously with the name, and then we call the print bonus information function, which has the score and whether or not a bonus was received. So let's see if that all works. Okay, highly likely to have made an error somewhere. Yeah, missed a colon off there in my def function. Well done, Joe, you scored 90, no bonus points, you were 10 short. Well done, Susan, you scored 140, no bonus points, you were 10 short. So obviously something's gone a bit wrong there in my code, because at this point I should have had some bonus points. So great bit of error checking here. Let's see if we can figure out what's gone in and gone on in the code. Oh yeah, so it looks like there I passed in score 1 and I should have passed in score 2. There we go. Well done, Susan, you scored 140 and got bonus points. Fantastic. So we've now arrived at our working code. We've got clear functions. We know what's going on. We're passing parameters around. The functions are all clearly labelled. And I hope that you found that a real pain to do. It wasn't clear. It was mixed up. It was very bitty. We were going in. We were having to think on our feet. We were having to change things. We were having to keep track of what we were doing. The question is, why? Why was that so difficult to write? And the answer is the way we approached it. We started all wrong. We started with the idea and we started writing code. We started putting stuff down, we started creating functions, we didn't like it so we modified it, we broke things up. We on the fly thought about, oh well, where do we need what information? We got there in the end, but it was really difficult. The whole point of what we've just done over these last 3 exercises is to show you how not to approach a problem like this. You should have found it a bit confusing and very tortuous, because it was, and it was for me trying to write it, and I knew where I was going, because I've been approached in completely the wrong way. We didn't design the code. We sat down and we started hacking at it, and then trying to improve it and trying to make it better. We didn't design it. So if there's one thing you've learned from these last 3 exercises, it's don't do it like this. And if you're teaching people and they're doing it like this, or you're doing it like this yourself, you're coming at it the wrong way. It makes it really torturous and really difficult and hard to get track of. So clearly what we're going to do is look at how we would do things properly for real and not get ourselves in these pickle. And that's hopefully what the rest of the course is about. Okay, thank you.